Okay, students often ask or say, oh, I don't know how to revise. Have you got any suggestions, sort of thing? And it's, yeah, I have got some ideas how to revise. To start with, remember that revision is all about revisiting. It's not really about learning it from scratch. You're supposed to already know the information. You're supposed to have that knowledge in your head already, alright? But you might have to learn something from scratch. Perhaps you missed a couple of lessons because you weren't well. Okay, so it is possible that you have to learn something from scratch. But yeah, we're supposed to be refreshing that knowledge. But the first thing you need to know is, well, what's in the exam? Okay, so know what the exam topics are. Okay, and then rather than revise everything, you need to find out what you need to revise versus what you are already quite good at. Alright, so there are kind of two points I'd like to make. One is dealing with knowledge, okay, because you need to know stuff, and you need to practice applying that knowledge. Okay, you need to practice answering questions because exams are all about questions, and it's not always just about the knowledge. Some questions you can answer with a good strategy. Okay, so knowledge isn't everything, all right, but obviously you are expected to know quite a lot of stuff. It kind of does depend a little bit on the subject. But before you go cracking on just learning everything and revising everything, okay, it's a good idea to start with some kind of questions, okay, whether they're from the back of a book, on Tassamai, past papers, whatever it is. Okay, you need to identify gaps in your knowledge. Okay, if you identify things that you're not very good at by trying to answer questions, if you find you're not very good and there are some gaps in your knowledge, you can go to this knowledge side of things and then you can do something about it. Okay, now however you do that is up to you, but I mean we've all heard of flashcards, I hope. Okay, so I think we know what flashcards are. We could write notes, we could draw diagrams. Okay, the important thing is we do something. Okay, drawing out diagrams, writing out notes, making flashcards that can actually then be used to test your knowledge again are really, really useful. You could watch a video, but that's not really doing something unless you actually use that video to copy out some diagrams, write some notes. Okay, do stuff. Okay, now what I mean by that is, I think the point I'm trying to make really is, don't just sit on a sofa reading from a textbook. Okay, maybe you might highlight some words out of a textbook. That's not going to work. Okay, that is not doing anything. Reading from a textbook is not going to help you. You need to do stuff. Okay, the act of recording information and writing things out and drawing it out is going to help you. Okay, especially if you routinely test yourself again. Okay, so good revision is a cycle of testing yourself, identifying gaps, doing something about the gap in your knowledge, testing yourself again. It's a cycle. Okay, you need to deal with questions, you need to deal with knowledge. No good knowing loads of stuff if you don't know how to apply it to the questions. Okay, you need to be able to answer questions, and there are quite a lot of questions you can answer without any knowledge whatsoever if you've got a good strategy. So practice questions. I'm a great believer in just, you're training to complete an exam. Okay, so using exam questions is like practicing running that final race. Okay, exam questions. Okay, you can practice developing a strategy that suits you. You can highlight gaps in your knowledge, which you can then fix. Okay, using whatever your preferred method is. Okay, one thing I quite like to do, which can be over here in terms of testing your knowledge about a topic, is things like a mind map. I like sometimes to sit down and go, right, what do I know about energy, for example? I can put energy in a big middle of the paper and link it to all sorts of things. How much do I know about that topic? And that's quite a fun way of testing yourself, and that's a fun thing that you can do at a bus stop where you don't even have to have a book, is to just, how much can I write about a topic? Test yourself. Okay, if you feel like you can do that very well, maybe you don't need to revise it quite so much. Okay, but revision, you're revisiting knowledge. Okay, have a go at some questions, especially exam questions. Identify gaps in your knowledge, revise the things that you need to revise. Please don't spend ages revising the stuff you're good at, that you know already. Okay, there is a temptation to do that. Okay, you do tend to enjoy the sort of subjects and topics you are good at because it's more fun being good at something. You need to deal with the stuff that you don't really like, the stuff you're not good at, because that's the thing that's going to make the difference. Okay, revision isn't supposed to be fun, but it is satisfying, especially if you feel that you started not knowing very much, you've done something about it, and next time you give yourself a little bit of a test using some questions, you actually get them right. Okay, so there are lots of things you can do. Okay, know what's in the exam, have a go at some questions to find out what you're good at. If you're good at it, park it. Okay, if you're good at it, great, put it to one side, you don't need to do anything on it. Okay, if you're not so good, do something about it, but do use a textbook for this stuff down here. Okay, what I'm saying is don't just read from a textbook. Just reading for a textbook is no good, but do obviously use a textbook here. Alright, but you've got information at your fingertips, you've got the internet, you've got textbooks, you've got all sorts of websites out there to help you, etc, etc. Alright, well,